branch told challengers to this question that the census was going to print without the controversial question. And then those lawyers told a judge that the decision was final. But then, of course, we saw that flurry of the president's tweets where he insisted that he would push his administration to find a way to add this question.
A candidate has dropped out of the running for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination. Correspondent Jim Roop.
Today ends our presidential campaign.
Eric Swalwell, who represents California's 15th congressional district, is done. He says he'll run again for his congressional seat. In the second night of the first Democratic debate, he said he had a plan to end gun violence in America, and he tried to steal the spotlight a few times by going after former VP Joe Biden's age and criticizing Mayor Pete Buttigieg for his handling of a police shooting in South Bend.
On Wall Street, the Dow fell 116 points. I'm Ann Cates.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Astronauts to the moon.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not to get off track here, but I feel like we're in the Truman Show, and we're in a snow globe, and they just shook it up.
Welcome to reality.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. It is your current reigning and defending and unarguably the number one show on Truth Frequency Radio on Monday nights between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 to 11 Eastern. Welcome, everyone, to your protection from deception. That's right here at TFR Live or iHeartRadio or Jeranism RAW, the fantastic YouTube channel, one of the best, probably second best YouTube channel, or Ginger Sugarbush's channel, or Karen B, or one of the many other places you can find this fantastic podcast. I am your host, Jeran from Jeranism, the owner, the creator of the Jeranism YouTube juggernaut, and also the Jeranism RAW YouTube channel as well. Welcome to the show. I have a co-host. He is usually with me. He is usually on mute. Maybe he's off mute. I don't know. Maybe he should be a mute. His name is David Avocado Weiss. David, are you there?
I am here. How's my volume today? Can you tell?
Actually, I think it looks really good. I'll ask the chat. Hey, everybody in the chat, does Dave sound equal to me? Who has got the upper hand here? Who has got the lower hand? Please let us know. Not a lot of people in the chat, so not a lot of people listening. And maybe people are out gallivanting through their towns. I don't know. How was your 4th?
Summer.
Yeah, how was your 4th?
I was excellent. I spent the entire weekend on the water. It was beautiful.
Do we actually have Iru in the chat? Is that Iru? Yeah, Neuropata Todos Tierra Plena. I don't know if that's Iru or not. I don't know if that's the real Iru. If it is Iru, if you want to join the show, we could always add you. It's very fun, but you can't call.
That is Iru.
Can he call from the shower?
I hope not, but I'm sure he could.
He could. Yeah, shout out to Ace McLeod before I forget about that. Dave, talk some more. Karen B wants to hear your sultry Jew voice.
Thank you. I have a volume setting on my microphone that has no numbers or way to gauge it other than guessing how far I am from the beginning or end. How's that sound, Karen?
Karen says sound is good. Woohoo, we finally got it.
Okay.
Boom.
Awesome.
I feel good. I usually don't feel good about the sound, and people give me a hard time and say, what is going on with your sound? I got a comment this week that said, your sound was better a year ago. What is going on? It's like, thanks a lot. I don't know if that meant the sound of my voice or, the Mind of Manny's heading out. Says, got to go. Have a good stream. We will. Thank you so much. George Smith, shout out to George Smith, says, good evening, Jeran and David. David Romero, one of the best flat earthers on the plane, says, hello, people. says, Dave sounds good. Your volume is good too. Jeran, what's the topic tonight? Well, we have a lot of things to discuss as always, but one of the topics will be the alien agenda. I don't know. I don't have a X-Files soundbite ready, but imagine that I just put one in there brilliantly. Because Dave, as he normally does, sends me some tidbits to listen to. This week he sent me was that today or yesterday? I don't remember when he sent that. But
it's all a blur.
It's all a blur at this point. He sent me just a little hour-long podcast that was done. Do you know the other guy's name? I know Mike Adams, who's the guy with Natural News, right?
Right, Mike Adams, the guy from Natural News who used to do really good health-related stuff. I was a big fan for many years. And he was on the Dave Hodges show, the Common Sense show, with I think it's Dave Hodges.
Common Sense is at its all-time low.
Yeah, and that was hour 1. Hour 3 was Steve Quayle talking the same nonsense.
Oh, boy, I'm glad you didn't send me that.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
Those guys are all in the same camp. I know that. So we didn't really, pull out any pieces necessarily. I do have
the entire thing.
Right.
Every single word out of their mouth is nonsense. Nukes to aliens to
speed of light. Oh man, if people caught my live stream yesterday, I had a little clip in there of Joe Rogan, talking to Eric Weinstein is his name, I believe, and it's the same kind of nonsense that's considered intelligent at this point. That's what people consider intelligent. When you sit there and you talk about beating the speed of light, and you talk about terraforming other planets, and you talk about traveling out into the stars, and that we can't take care of this place, so we need to expand. Eric Weinstein said that he's going to be, he has been working on it for years, coming up with the way to break down the source code of reality and then have people enter the portal, Dave. The portal that will get them away from the Earth and into other areas of the galaxy. I think.
Did you know that the pulsars are full of energy that rocket ships can use? So areas of the galaxy that have lots of pulsars can be considered like the Middle East, you know, oil fields of the galaxy.
Yeah,
this is a fact.
It's easier. Yeah, it's fact. It's all based on evidence. It's easier to harvest the pulsar energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, and it's actually
everybody knows that.
Right, it's actually easy. And that any significantly advanced civilization would obviously have the abilities to do that. And then they have to follow the economics of this world. They say, they have the laws of economics and the laws of physics. It must be followed everywhere.
Hey, Jeran, I'll talk about rocket ships for a second.
Sure.
Isn't there some scientists, I forget the name of the rule, but as rockets get bigger, they stop working because the amount of extra fuel you have offsets the lifting power of the rocket. So
correct.
It gets to a certain size where it couldn't even take off.
Right. That's why I don't think anybody tries to go out and say they're going to build something bigger than the Saturn V.
Well, isn't the heavy, whatever the fucking heavy?
Fucking heavy.
The fucking heavy.
That
was a good video. I don't know where that went.
No, it actually is much smaller than the Saturn V, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but I think that no, the Falcon Heavy or the BFR, whatever they, the big effing rocket, all that stuff is just such nonsense to me, and clearly it's nonsense. And it just goes to show you what happens when people get their minds basically raped by this mainstream narrative and this idea. I saw a news story today on black holes, and that they did a new simulation, the largest simulation done to date. It's like, what are you talking of black holes? And now we can see what's going on with black holes and the areas around them. And it's just put on the news as if it's fact. And
did you hear that NASA on the 4th of July, I think it was a star exploding or some sort of explosion in deep space, and it had red, white, and blue sparkles come out of it on the 4th of July.
Oh, boy. I hope you're kidding.
No. Somebody sent me that NASA just reported that. I didn't even confirm it because it's so nonsense. I'm sure they did. Somebody could look that up and put a link in the chat. I'd like to see it, actually.
So, by the way, for Ginger Sugar Bush, because he told me I need to date stamp these videos. So sorry it took 5 minutes to do so. But today is July 8th, 2019. Over here in California, we are all reeling from the devastating effects of the 6.4 and the 7.1 earthquake that knocked one lady down and caused some rolls of toilet paper to fall off shelves.
I saw liquor bottles fall.
There was
a video.
Liquor bottles fell also.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what happens when if you just put a liquor bottle too close to the end of the shelf and somebody walks by with a shopping cart and actually hits it, the liquor bottle will fall. So the earth shook beneath us, and I wasn't trying to be rude to anybody. Obviously, if you're one of the 18 homes that had your chimney fall, or if you're one of the 3 homes that had a gas line rupture and a small fire, hey, I apologize if you thought that was rude. I don't think, however, that those 21 affected people will be listening to my show. If they are, hey, I'm super sorry. If you're one of the many other people throughout the world that may be watching the news, you may think that California is ready to fall into the ocean. Dave, I tell you with every bit of surety that I can, that will not be happening.
Isn't California going the other way? Didn't California used to be an island, and then something happened, some mud flood or something that filled it in and created Nevada?
I always laugh when I hear island because I don't really know what island means.
Island, it was separate from the mainland. Every map showed it. And then if you look at the topography of where that gap was, it's kind of like a mud flood.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Salton Sea is right there.
Yeah.
Which I wonder why that has, the Salt Lake, Utah. There's a reason why that's there. So I think the ocean used to run up the coast of California. I used to live in a city called Salinas, which stands for Salt Plains, I believe. And that's why this area of California is so incredibly fertile. So, that's where a lot of the fruits and vegetables come from. The reason why is because it's all very saturated land. It's very easy to grow here. You get the obviously the hot sun. Everybody knows about that. And then also the ground is very moist. And now they'll try and tell you that this was, billions of years ago, of course, right? Like they always estimate these things, 500 million years ago. Yeah, right. But
like 148 years ago.
Maybe 155.
Okay, maybe.
David always underestimates people. Don't listen to David. When
Yeah.
he's 148, he means 168. So, this person Ute said, why do people want aliens to be out there? I don't. No, neither do I. Neither does David. But, a lot of the things, David, what's crazy to me is that when you talk about aliens, if you and I say, hey, well, did you read, Iron Republic and the fact that there could be other civilizations that have moved out past here, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. But if you talk about beings that are 1 million years advanced technology than us, that are traveling through portals in the galaxies, that's considered intelligent.
That's fact.
That's fact.
That's fact. There has to be. Mike said it in that interview.
Yeah.
He said, with the billions and trillions of other stars and planetary systems, it's crazy to think that we're the only one.
And now people can realize why that narrative is played.
Yeah.
Because it just makes people think that there's nothing special about the Earth, that we can't be something special. There's obviously a reason why these elite members are trying to kill humanity. And again, when you pass it off to people as, hey, maybe there's aliens that are telling us to do that, it's just a reason for people to say, oh, well, maybe the aliens want to terraform this planet, which all makes no sense. What is that whole thing when he's talking about, oh, it'd be much easier for them to actually come here and have us kill each other rather than them kill us? It's like, what would they care about some little planet if there's billions of other stars, which means there's multiple hundreds of billions, if not trillions of other planets that they could go to? Why would they want humanity to kill? What's so special about the Earth? That's what they want people thinking. It's just
they want to turn us into slaves. Oh, wait a minute. We already are slaves.
Yeah. Prentice Hawthorne said, for July 4th, NASA's Hubble spots wild star erupting in red. It's always something. It's always the sun that's shaped like a jack-o'-lantern, or the skull-shaped asteroid. It's just NASA is nothing but a PR machine, and one of the best. One of the very best. They can just put out a press release whenever, and it's basically every day. Dave, you can tell people about your alerts on Google Alerts and how you get.
The alerts are insane. And Paige went to the store to grab something the other morning and came back with Life magazine, a full 50-year history of the moon landing, and people are pointing it out to me, saying, "Here's proof that we went to the moon." Oh. And it's this. If you look through it with open eyes, it's literally a comic book.
Right.
It's a comic book, and it's Life. It's Life magazine. That's the real deal. It's in Life. It's real.
To call it a comic book is a little unfair because they do have some photographs of men standing in the desert in Arizona. So it's not all comics. There is some photographs.
Good point.
Yeah. So you want to be careful there. Yeah. The whole thing makes no sense. Another thing is this, as I'm doing research for my movie and looking at further things about it, one of the things that comes to me is, how hard it is for them to launch rockets from Earth, right? And it's so hard for them to do, and they've got to beat gravity and everything else you want to believe about that. But it just makes no done a fantastic job at doing so, no doubt. Anyway, yeah, back to the earthquake. I just feel bad for people that watch the news. That and I'm only 250 or 300 miles from the epicenter, so of course, I was sitting on my couch and you kind of start feeling a little swaying. You're like, oh, that's an earthquake. Oh, that one's kind of lasting long. That's the effect of it for me. I tried to show people some cracks in my street, which are definitely from the earthquake. Some cracks in the sidewalk, lots of cracks, Dave. Did any cracks happen around you?
No.
Did it spread out that far?
We didn't have an earthquake over here.
Oh, man. It's just so frustrating. And I don't know. I don't remember which one it was, CBS or NBC News or something. And that guy, Lester Holt, gets on. Let's go to Lester Holt. He was there in L.A. and he says, I was sitting in a movie theater and it started to shake. And we all did a very good job of self-evacuating from the thing. And then the newscaster comes back and just says, I just can't imagine what it would have been like to be sitting in that movie theater and feel the earth move below your feet. It's just like, it's so ridiculous. I can't stand it. I get so frustrated. And then they go to a Big Lots and they're like looking through the window and they're like, look at the massive damage done. And it's literally an end cap of toilet paper that's been knocked over. And yeah, some bottles and juices on the ground. You've got people that own gas stations saying, this is going to wreck my business. And while they're there filming, there's a ton of people in line buying things. And this guy's like, I don't know if my business will survive this. Well, you should take that. It's part of operating business that you might lose your inventory. So be careful. Right, Dave?
Absolutely. It's crazy. This world's crazy.
The Mies King says Lester Holt is an alien. I don't doubt that. He's very strange looking. Ace McLeod says, Jeran, there were sparks, so obviously it's real. Well, yeah, if NASA tells you it, obviously it's real.
The whole, sticking on the alien thing, the whole alien coming from outer space to terraform us or controlling the government that Mike talks about, there may be an ounce of truth to that. There could be other civilizations across the plane that are influencing politics. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's what I was getting at, is that
yeah,
if we said there was, the Iron Republic tells us of an advanced society that was basically the same distance that United States is from the ice wall, the opposite direction. And that when they got there, these guys had technology that was 100, 200 years past where we were. And again, that's just a story. Maybe it's true. Who knows? I'm certainly not one that can tell you for sure that there are advanced societies. But to me, when you take it all in and you think about it, doesn't that make a million times more sense than somebody saying, there's these aliens? I've always thought it was funny that these guys can travel between planets, they can travel between galaxies, they can travel between stars, and then they come to Earth and they crash their craft here.
Well, they're crashing because we're hitting them with energy weapons that they didn't expect that we had.
Right. Or we can actually give them our diseases, Dave. Did you hear him talk about that? Mike says one of the things we can do to combat these aliens when they get here is we can package up our diseases and spread them to the aliens, and they would have no way. They're technologically advanced, but we would be able to give them the flu.
And they kept quoting different science fiction movies as if it was a real thing. And they're saying, based on this,
Right. Did you see the movie Colony? Oh, I did. Yeah, I saw and they're telling us all about it. That these aliens. It's like, no, that's a movie. I hate to tell you, these guys love their movies. It's like the great movie that proved that the Earth is curved, proven by myself, Dave. If you didn't know.
Yeah.
Behind the Curve. It's fantastic. So anyway, if anyone's down in LA and the earthquake scared you, don't be scared. Everything will be fine. We will all survive. I did see an article the other day that said that eventually, I don't know when the date is, but Los Angeles will be next to San Francisco.
Isn't it already?
It's LA is south of San Francisco, but they were dispelling the rumors that that California could fall off into the ocean by reminding people, because I think they failed to forget that islands are not floating pieces of land, that all the land is connected. So California can't fall into the ocean. There's nowhere for it to go.
I just got a Google alert. Telescope teamwork reveals gas dwarf planet's atmosphere. And it has all of these illustrations. It's showing it at the core of the planet. It knows what's going on, the thickness of the atmosphere. And this is at space.com.
So this is the test that I want to run. I have, I live on a court, and then there's the cross street, and then there's another court on the other side of me. So basically 2 streets, with courts at the end of them. I want to go to the end of my court, and I want to get a box, and I want them to allow me to put whatever gases I want. So I can go out and I can find a bunch of gases, and I can put them in this box. And then I want somebody on the other side of the court to look with a telescope at my box of gases and tell me what
glass box?
Yeah. Can they tell me what gases are in there?
No, because it's divided by glass. It has to be a clear shot to that.
Oh, and
there has to be a vacuum in between.
Oh.
And then the gas has to exist by itself without a barrier next to the vacuum.
Oh, I can create that. So that's just basically like having a pressurized tire without the rubber surrounding area.
Exactly.
Okay, I can do that.
Then once you do that, they'll tell you what gas is in it.
Wait, I'm trying to think how you would do that. Pretty sure that might be impossible.
Well, you'd have to do it on a scale where you had enough gravity to hold the gas down.
Okay. I think Neil deGrasse could probably do it. I can figure it out, but Neil can. If we just get in contact with him and tell him, hey, we need to create a pressurized ball of gas over here at the end of this court, and then we want to make sure that people on the other side of the court, and even if they can do that, then I want to stretch it to 5 miles. And then once they can do that, we'll stretch it to 10 miles, and then 20, and then 500, and then 1,000. And then maybe eventually we'll get to like 5,000 miles. Somehow these people are able to differentiate the gases in my little sphere of gas with a vacuum around it. And then we can stretch it out and go, heaven forbid, a light year. I don't know. Let's start with a light minute, Dave, and we'll go from there.
It's a long ways.
It's crazy. It's just so simply ridiculous what people believe. And these communications, we're still in communication with the Explorer satellites that are, only 13 or 14 billion miles from Earth. They still communicate. They still work. Dave, where do they get these kind of solar panels?
I don't know. I'd love to find them.
You might become rich very, very fast. So anyway, ridiculous. And we'll listen to a little bit of that in the second half. And then also, if you want to call...
sorry.
Or if you want to clear your throat.
Thought I muted.
If you want to call in and comment if you were affected by the massive earthquake, we will rebuild, ladies and gentlemen. We will persevere. If you want to call in and tell us your horror story, I did see on the news that they interviewed a lady who talked about her 3-year-old daughter being so scared that she had to grab onto her leg during some of the aftershocks, and that was a news story, which I think is hilarious because children get scared of many things, including Mickey Mouse when you go to Disneyland, and that should be a news story. I want to hear a news story about a lady saying, my child, she grabbed onto my leg and she cried when she saw the gigantic mouse. And, those are the kind of news stories that are considered news nowadays, rather than talking about, which they did highlight. Dave, were you happy to hear that Mr. Epstein, speaking of small hats, is going to go to jail?
I'm being reserved about this. To me, it looks like a distraction for something else that's about to happen. I don't know. I have no proof of any of this. This is just what I've seen them do. Like, they've had this information on him for such a long time. Why now?
Right.
He has pictures of him and Trump, palling around are coming out. So is this an attempt to take down Trump? Is it an attempt to, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I am happy that it happened, and let's hope it unwinds, all of the other people attached to him, starting with the Clintons.
Yeah, Sox News Puppet says, hello, I'm from England, and may I just say I worked for the mod making aircraft engines, and UFOs are government aircraft experiments.
Some of them might be, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that. It makes a lot more sense, again, when we talk about what makes more sense, that the government has some craft that crashed in Roswell, or that beings that are far more advanced than us decided to come here for some God knows reason and couldn't steer around.
Or perhaps, the Bob Lazar story, right? Where he was working on the craft at Area 51 and with the gravity engines. Of course, he was on Rogan the other day pushing, this is aliens for sure. We could have gotten these from people across the plane outside, beyond Antarctica, or from the Arctic. We don't know. Were they given to us? Did they crash? Did we steal them? Did we find them? But not from outer space, from here.
Yeah, I wonder if the earthquakes caused any of the gravity, these devices that can measure the gravity change. I wonder if they registered that. I don't know. Just reading some of these comments here, kind of funny. Somebody, Victor Bangle, said the quakes were fun for me, kind of like being on top of a big bowl of Jell-O. And then the funniest chat of the day by Cindy Pritchard, hashtag Cal Earthquake Strong. So we will persevere. We will rebuild. I think it's hilarious. We got Silicon Breakfast said Trump called out Epstein's Island and Bill Clinton's involvement years ago. This is the problem with getting behind Trump, because Dave, I don't know if I asked you, if I said, hey, are you behind Trump? For me, when you're a real estate mogul and you're involved in the upper ups and in the upper echelon, you're gonna have connections with people that are doing terrible, terrible things. Period. So it's hard to stand behind him and say, oh, this guy's a great guy. Well, he's not really a great guy. Is he doing the best job possible right now? Well, I tend to think so.
Clinton went to Epstein's Island like 20 some odd times without his Secret Service.
Right. All right, don't go anywhere, guys. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. We'll come back and listen to a little deception.
Extendivite is more than just a heart tonic. Do you have any of these symptoms? Night cramps in the hands and feet. Your arms and legs often go to sleep. On short walks, do your legs get aches and pains? Is your memory worse than it used to be? Ankles that swell late in the day? Has your blood pressure increased lately? If you answered yes to even one of these questions, you may have early warning signs of arterial blockages. Your body is saying that it is time to take Extendivite. These are not the normal signs of aging. They are the warning signs that accompany blocked arteries. Get your Extendivite today. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Jim Ram, retired. In early 2012, I was facing a laundry list of chronic health conditions that my physician was telling me were incurable. I knew there had to be a better way, and I learned how I could reverse every one of my ailments with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. In just a few months, I was able to reverse high blood pressure, gastric reflux, sleep apnea, arthritis, degenerative disc disease, heart arrhythmia, AFib, and many more. And I've lost over 70 pounds and kept it off. Now I'm hosting a radio program that's dedicated to helping my listeners do the same. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're sick of being used as an ATM by your doctor, then you'll want to tune into the Your DIY Health radio program here on Truth Frequency Radio every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern and 6 to 8 a.m. Pacific.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Off from the
Thank you so much for
channel,
joining us,
this
wherever
radio
you might
show,
be.
shout
My
out
movie,
first
everything
to my
else that I
patrons,
do.
As always, you guys make this channel,
you guys make it all
radio
possible.
show.
So thank you very much,
Dave.
My movie,
one
everything
thing
else that I do.
that's coming up. And thanks everybody for
you
the
guys
super
make it all
chats.
possible. So
I
thank
know
you
we
very
haven't
much.
gotten any
Dave,
tonight, but if you've ever
one
sent a
thing
super chat,
that's coming
thank
up.
you very much for
Thanks
doing
everybody
that.
for
I
super
do
chats.
always greatly appreciate that, and thank you to everyone
if you've
in
ever
the
sent a
chat.
super chat.
Thank
you very much for doing that.
Also,
I do always
if you're in
greatly
California and you
appreciate
need
that, and thank you to
insurance,
everyone in the
one of
chat.
the sponsors of the show, one of the
also,
great
if you're
insurance
in
companies in California is Mid Valley Insurance.
one of the
Call
sponsors
them,
of the show.
say Jeran sent you, you'll get the best
great
deal.
insurance companies in California is Mid Valley Insurance.
Homeowners insurance, you know, car insurance,
get the best deal.
renters insurance, even commercial insurance, whatever you need, they'll take care of you. So give them a call, Mid Valley Insurance, 888-626-3255. The other phone number to know and remember and to calculate and to write down is if you want to call in and talk to us about anything, the alien agenda, the earthquake agenda. What other agendas, Dave, do you want to have people call in and talk to us about?
Anything.
Yeah.
By the way, your insurance, one thing you didn't mention about your insurance sponsor.
Yes.
Is a flat earther.
Right. I forget.
Right? That's important. We need to do business with people in the club.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
So give it a call if you need that. Rewind it, find it. But if you want to call and talk to us, that phone number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. Get in line. It should be fun. So,
hey, one quick note. Upcoming, I just heard from Mel Fabregas.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, your interview is coming out a week from Thursday, the 18th, the week of the anniversary.
Beautiful.
So a week from Thursday, Veritas Radio. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's great. I've been a subscriber for, 8 years now.
Support what you like or it goes away.
That's right.
Right. So if you like, and I think Mel does such a fantastic job in all his interviews. None better than when he does them with me or with you, Dave. I thought our interview with Mel was one of his best as well.
It absolutely was.
Right.
It was probably the best interview he's ever done.
Probably. I don't think he would argue with that. Don't ask him, because I'd rather not know his opinion on that, but just believe it. Yeah. No. So yeah. And then when I say thank you to my patrons, they make all that possible. You know, the show I did with Mel, all that stuff. So I always have to say a big thank you to those guys. But Dave, do you have any app news? App news.
We should have we need a jingle for that.
Yeah.
Some app news is Andrew Lanks, alleged friend of Yahweh, is making a promo video for me, a professional short video. That'll be fun. But we're waiting until the Compass and the FAQs function is done. And I actually saw a video of it today. It looks great. He's doing a test build, so I'll have it on my iPhone tomorrow. He's probably working on it right now as he's showing up for work.
Nice.
And as soon as I make sure it's bug-free, it's possible that the iOS version could get uploaded tomorrow.
Wow, that'd be quick.
Yeah, and that'll be fun. What I'm looking for, though, and when people get it, is if you have any videos that answer the FAQs, email them to me. Say, hey, this is a great video that should be in this list, and I'll add it. And because I can keep adding them in real time. So when someone says, what about, circumnavigation, they click that button, bam, there's a whole list explaining circumnavigation 6 ways to Sunday.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, so it especially now with the YouTube censorship. William, who does my website and Paul's website and Marty Leeds' website and a whole bunch of people's website, he said to me, he just wrote me a note yesterday, said the greatest feature on the app is the daily video. He goes, because YouTube doesn't feed him anything good anymore. Flat Earth related, at least he gets one good video a day through the app. And what Flat Earthers don't realize is we're like, we still get videos. That's because we're subscribed to all the channels. If you're subscribed to all of us, if you remain subscribed, which is becoming a problem, you'll get those, but they don't care about you. You already know. Somebody else that hey, I heard about this Flat Earth thing. They Google it. They're not going to get DITRH or Jeranism or Mark Sargent or any of us. They're going to get nonsense. They're going to get Nat Geo. They're going to get Discovery. They're going to get, what's his face? Neil
deGrasse. I don't know. Bill Nye.
All those guys.
Brian Cox telling everybody nobody in the history of the world has ever believed that the Earth was flat. And that's what they get.
That's the greatest line ever.
The greatest line ever. It's pretty good. Almost as good as you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
I don't know. It might be better.
No, come on.
Yeah, it might be better.
No, but also another thing is the app video. Are you getting enough videos to do that, or do you need some help with that?
Yeah, no, if anybody has a good video, and again, I'm looking for, solid videos. It'd be great if it had a good thumbnail because people are more apt to click because there's no description. It's just a thumbnail. So it's nice to have a good thumbnail. But if you have one, you say, hey, this is good for the app. Even if it's your own video, email it to me, info@theflatearthpodcast.com. Say, hey, don't just send me a link because I'm not gonna even click it. A quick description of what the video is. If you have the thumbnail, put it in the email. Just let me know what it is, and I'll review it. And if I can put it on, that'd be great. So I'm always looking for new stuff. And occasionally, by the way, been wanting to say this. For those of you that had the app since the beginning, I may repeat some classic videos because there's a lot of new people that never saw, ODD's 21 questions or, Hibbler Productions, something good. So occasionally, if you see a repeat, just watch it again. That's all I can say.
Or a Jeranism NASA, why haven't you done this yet? Or, a lot of those.
Why don't we have a camera on the moon? These things need to be repeated. And by the way, when I come across an old great video, I end up watching it again because, you're seeing it with new eyes every time you see it. And you see new things.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple chats. Somebody asked about earthquake insurance. Don't waste your money, but I'm sure he sells that as well. Somebody asked earthquake agenda. What did I mean by that? Just the fact that it's constant fear. Fear porn is what they push. And so the rest of the country must feel like scared and get your earthquake kits ready and get this ready and get that ready. It's just fear. That's what they push. They want people to think that the world is ending, that these earthquakes are getting more massive. They're coming. Is the big one coming? Will there be a 10? It's just so ridiculous that the 7.1 was 50 times stronger or something than the 6.4, which is just ridiculous to even think about. Dave, am I the only one who sees the ridiculousness in this times stronger? That, if you've ever felt a 7 earthquake, if somebody told you that there was going to be an earthquake 5 times stronger, your house would fall. There's just
right. It never made sense to me.
No, it's just such nonsense when they try and talk about, this, a 6 is I think a 7 is supposed to be 100 times stronger than a 6. I could be wrong on that. 10 doesn't even make sense. If you think about something double as strong as a 7 earthquake, then all the houses would fall. So it's just not possible. It's just the earth corrects or adjusts. I mean, we're built on dirt and ground, and if there's a big section of that shifts or falls down, it's going to cause everything to kind of quake, and that's just what happens. So no, they're faking the earthquakes or anything like that. If that's what people,
we're going to go to this Mike Adams thing. We haven't taken out any clips. What do you say we just pick a random spot, play it for a minute, and discuss what he says?
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do that. I'm adding somebody as a moderator who asked, who I like. Airto, go Airto. All right, so I'm just going to pull this up. Dave, I want to make sure you can hear it first. Let me see. We'll start here. Can you hear that?
Nope.
You couldn't hear this at all? You don't get to hear that? Oh, boy.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play it from the... How about... let me see here. I'm just going to pick a random spot. How about this?
Nothing. But I could tell you it's pure nonsense.
Wait, you can't hear this?
I can't hear any of it. Not even a whisper.
Weird. I wonder why that is. Oh, hold on one second. Okay, now I'm going to try something to see if it makes... Do you hear that?
Nope.
How about this?
Nope.
What?
But it's great radio.
It is great radio. I'm showing all the bars on my mic mixer. I wonder why you wouldn't be able to hear that. It's really
great noise cancellation technology.
Really strange. Let me check my settings real quick on here just to see, because it won't do any good if we can't play it for everybody. It's really weird. If I ever play something on YouTube, you can always hear it, can't you? Oh, let me try one other thing. I have a YouTube video up. This is the guy, for everybody at home who I know you can hear this. This is the Eric Weinstein talking to Joe Rogan, saying we got to leave the planet. And Dave, you don't hear that?
Nope.
What the hell is going on? Let me check one thing here. Let's see here. No, microphones, speakers. Let me try one thing here. This might cause people not to hear you. That's the only thing. Talk, Dave.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so everybody can hear you. And let me try this one more time and see if you can hear this. Can you hear this?
Planet right now. He's joking,
Yes.
agents.
You can.
I hear that.
Whew, boy, that was close. How about this? How about over here?
How about
Good.
conference?
Okay, good. Phew, finally. Don't know what was going on there. Hopefully that didn't change the sound too much. I think we should be fine. Sorry about the great radio.
All right, so play, what are you going to play, 60 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes?
Let's play a minute starting from just this random point. Here we go.
Branson is really kind of off your traditional beaten path. And so go ahead and introduce the topic. And I'd like you to tell the audience why you're kind of taking a sidestep here into this subject area where I really haven't seen you go before.
Well, I've been reluctantly dragged into this area, but I can't ignore it. A couple of months ago, I published an article in Natural News that talked about terraforming and how it was preparing the planet for what I called the post-human era. And that article, I don't know, it's up on Natural News. I forgot the exact date of it. But since then, I've heard a lot of feedback from people who wanted me to develop this idea a little bit more or give more details. And Steve Quayle reached out to me. I sent him an overview of what my research has found since then, some of it lab research, some of it just online research. And he invited me to speak at the conference to do a full 2-hour presentation about this. And what it's really focused on, and I know this may seem out there at first to people, but I assure people this is an evidence-based presentation. It's based on the hypothesis that a non-Earth entity, a civilization or intelligence, is in fact influencing Earth to convince humanity to terraform the planet and destroy the human race in preparation for the planet being what I call a post-human era, which means colonization by non-Earth entities.
Okay, we'll stop it there. All right.
I assure everybody, that it's a non-Earth based intelligence.
Right.
He's assuring us.
And it may seem out there, but it's all evidence-based.
It's evidence-based from his research.
Right. Actually, he's done a lot of lab research. It's not just any kind of research. It's lab research that there's a non-Earth entity done in the lab. If, you'd have to contact Mike for.
And he's developing the idea.
Right.
And now he's speaking at a conference.
Right. He's going to speak for 2 hours on it. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward to.
Wait. One other thing. He said right at the beginning, he said he was reluctantly dragged into this.
Right.
You can read into that. Like, what does that mean? Was he like, hey, you're going to talk about this or you're not going to be promoted anywhere? Possible.
Okay, I'm going to drag this forward a little bit, and here we go. It's just going to be random. Who sees what happens?
I have talked about a lot of these same issues in broadcasts that I've done, articles I have written. In fact, I likened what's going on to the Charlie Sheen 1997 movie called The Arrival. Are you familiar with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
And just so the listening audience may not be aware, it was a movie where he discovered aliens living among us who could shapeshift into human form, and they were basically doing the frog in the boiling pot routine where they were turning up the temperature of the planet where the humans would become extinct and they would take over in a 20-year period. Very similar to what we're talking about here. Not necessarily the same mechanism of takeover, but the idea that they're transforming the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, one of the really fascinating theories that I present in this is let's assume that an advanced civilization has faster than light travel. And now faster than light travel requires a lot of energy to bend space-time around the spaceship. It's called a warp bubble drive system, and it allows ships to move faster than light without breaking the laws of relativity and so on. You're actually warping space-time. And so the ship is technically not traveling faster than the speed of light, but it's moving across the universe from point A to point B faster than what the speed of light appears to be. Now, this requires a tremendous amount of energy. And even if you were to travel at, let's say, 1,000 times the speed of light, or 1,000 C, understand that the Milky Way is 120,000 light years across, and it's 1,000 light years thick. So
okay, we'll just stop there because it's just getting overwhelmingly hilarious. So imagine that we can't even come close to even comprehending the idea of the speed of light. It's just so ridiculous. And now this guy has jumped to, let's imagine that we're traveling at 1,000 C. 1,000 times the speed of light.
He started with the Charlie Sheen movie,
right?
And then he's like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Confirming that must be real.
Right. I've seen a movie, Dave, and I don't know if you think this is coming true soon, where a large ape climbs and destroys buildings. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
That could be true.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming soon. He will scale buildings and rescue basically a small woman in his massive hands. But that's based on lab-based research, by the way, also as well. Pretty nonsense. It's just so hilarious to hear them talk about faster than light travel.
And it takes a lot of energy. And all of these things he's saying them like they're known facts and they're no longer allowed to be questioned.
You mean like the warp bubble time system?
Yeah, the bending of time-space. We've heard that enough. It has to be real.
Right. And it's actually not traveling faster than the speed of light. What it's doing is it's warping space-time around the craft. And if you warp space-time around the craft, then the craft can cut through, moving at 1,000 C quite easily, moving across the universe. And lab-based research. Let's skip forward here. I don't know. We'll go to 12 minutes. Let's see what's going on here.
To destroy humanity. And I believe there's strong evidence that the origin of these messages is non-human.
You know, it's interesting. I was speaking with Chris Kitsy, the former owner of Before It's News and heavy into Bitcoin and alternative currencies. And we were talking about this around a month ago. And you just said what he said.
Really?
Word for
really?
Word. Oh, no question. No question. We got about 10 minutes on an interview we did together. We were doing stuff on alternative currencies and Chinese organ stealing and that kind of thing. And he's very much into studying China. And the subject of ETs came up. And he said that there are, let's put it this way, the influence is here. And he repeated what you said almost word for word.
Wow. See, that's fascinating to me that there would be so many spontaneous parallel lines of realization along this, because I've never spoken to him, the person you're referring to.
He is a fascinating individual. A lot of people just identify with Before It's News. But
Dave, how about this amazing spontaneous lines of realization?
So many parallel lines of realization. That's amazing that two people can fantasize about the same crap that we've all been programmed with as fact.
And there's a ton of evidence that says that all the communication is non-human.
He actually believes it's from a non-human origin, and that must be true because it can't be human.
Right. There's tons of evidence of it, lab-based evidence.
That it's coming from outer space because that's where non-humans come from.
Right. So, yeah, we'll move forward.
These are facts. We haven't even gotten to the crazy part.
Have we not? Yeah.
No, it gets worse.
We'll go to 16 minutes here to see what they're talking about.
Into a season 4, which it didn't, they abruptly cancel the show.
Yeah, it was a very good show.
This is hilarious. Real quick, I'll stop it real quick. What he's talking about is there was some show, Colony, I think is what it was called, and he's saying basically the season went through season 3, and at the end of season 3, they abruptly canceled the show. So that means that what was happening next was real, and that somebody reached in and stopped the show. So that doesn't it make more sense that this is all part of an agenda? That they can say that now, that they can say, oh, well, this show that was talking about aliens and the aliens were about to get here, and right when they were about to get here and we were going to find out what was going to happen, they canceled the show, which is proof that the aliens are about to get here, Dave. Could be any time. Let's move forward a little bit more here.
Jump forward.
Looking out away from Earth, and you wouldn't have the light pollution of Earth. So it's an ideal observation platform. It's also an ideal weapons platform. Of course,
I should rewind it there a little bit. That's where he's saying that the moon is. I'll go right here. Hold on.
Around Earth, which is extremely rare in the cosmos. It almost never happens that way. But it makes an ideal platform for both observation and planetary defense. For observation, you'd put your telescopes, your radio telescopes, and optical equipment on the dark side of the moon. You'd always be looking out away from Earth, and you wouldn't have the light pollution of Earth. So it's an ideal observation platform. It's also an ideal weapons platform. Of course, the moon is the gravitational high ground above Earth, which sits in the bottom of a gravity well, as does any planet, of course. So the moon is the high ground, and the moon is the planetary defense real estate, you might say, from a cosmic point of view.
Do you think...
I'll just stop it there real quick. Think about what he's talking about now. He's saying that the moon, it rotates at the same rate as it spins, basically, so that the dark side is always faced away. So we need to put a bunch of observation posts and build a planetary defense mechanism on the other side of the moon because it's the gravitational high ground while the Earth sits in a gravity well. When you could just reverse that and say, well, then we should have a planetary defense system on one side of the Earth because it sits in a gravitational high ground while the moon's in a gravity well. It's just all the same.
Good point. And I hate the fact that, and a lot of people make the same mistake, the dark side of the moon. This is all Pink Floyd's fault. In the heliocentric model, there's no dark side of the moon. There's the back side of the moon that's lit half the time, okay? In the helio-nonsensical model. There's no dark side of the moon. There's the back side of the moon that we don't see. There's a full moon back there when we have a new moon, supposedly.
Yeah, it's just like when they say that, those different moon phases cause different tides when the moon is always there, right?
Yeah.
It's just there. Okay, let's skip forward a little bit. Let's see here. We'll go to 19. Let's listen to this.
Comics, supply and demand. There are still limited resources in the universe and so on. There are certain types of stars that are energy sources that are easier to harvest than others. For example, pulsars, which are a special type of rotating neutron star. Pulsars are energy factories that can be relatively easily harnessed. Pulsars would be sort of the oil fields of the Milky Way. So an area that's rich with pulsars would be like the Middle East of our world here on Earth. And once you understand these things, then you start to understand there are geopolitics happening on a cosmic scale, and there's probably very complex interactions between different warring factions and their quests for resources, including habitat resources, which would include Earth. So it's a very big...
Oh, God. I don't know where to begin. So there's
a pulsar is a special type of neutron star. And what type might that be?
It's a rotating neutron star.
It's a rotating neutron star. And then go ahead.
It's an energy farm. It's basically like the Iraq. And what he's basically saying is that if it's an Iraq, then there must be a Saddam Hussein. who's currently controlling that faction, and that there's a competition for resources in the solar system, which just makes no freaking sense. Think about it. They believe that there's 200 billion stars in the Milky Way, which means there's 900 billion planets.
You're exaggerating. There's only 100 billion stars.
Oh boy, am I wrong? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to exaggerate.
I could be wrong though.
Yeah, but the good thing is that the energy that exists in the rotating neutron stars are relatively easy to acquire. It's easy to farm that out. I don't know if you knew that. But once you understand, Dave, that there's some very...
Do they have like a neutron star backhoe, to grab the energy?
Yeah, and then you carry it around in your ship, and as long as you go 1,000 C, as long as you go 1,000 times the speed of light, and you pull the space-time around you, you can just dart through it with your backpack full of neutron star. By the way, a teaspoon of neutron star weighs 22 billion pounds.
You have to be careful, though, because there's different warring factions of races up there that will stop you from harvesting these energy fields. So like the Saddam Hussein of the galaxy.
Right. Yeah, there's the Iran of the Milky Way, who, if you get too close to them, they start attacking their own people, and it gets crazy.
This is Mike Adams, the health ranger, everybody. Okay? He's like a semi-respected person. I hope people are losing their respect for him.
I like a lot of his work. His work, however, in planetary nonsense is quite appalling. All right, let's go to 21.
He was dragged into it unwillingly.
And by the way, folks, I'm just dragging the bar here. I have no idea where we're going and where this is going to end up. And so we're skipping many hilarious parts that we could have done an entire show and just listen to this. But let's go to 2130.
Alien civilization. You don't want to land a bunch of alien craft on the planet and run around slaughtering everybody. That's too much work. It's so much easier to just convince them to do it to themselves. Really?
I don't disagree with you, and we can go back to War of the Worlds, and they could face a biological problem on this planet. In fact,
yes.
Our diseases and I saw something once on the History Channel. They talked about how we could defend against an alien invasion, a hypothetical scenario, and I thought it was really ingenious. They said you'd have to find a way to implant our diseases in their living systems, and then watch it spread, because they would probably have no immunity for what's
All right, we'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
That was War of the Worlds, wasn't it?
Oh, man. By the way, the end of the YouTube stream. See, I knew what I was doing. Anyway, folks.
Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like The Christopher Everard Show,
The Covert Report
with Susan Lindauer, Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barr, Freaky Friday with
The other phone number to know
The
and remember
Gematria
and
Effect
calculate
with
to
Zachary
write
Hubbard,
down
America's
is if you want to
Evil
call in and talk
Genius
to
with
us
Travis
about
Cook,
anything,
Phoenix
the alien
Rising
agenda,
Radio with
the earthquake agenda,
Quantum
whatever
Connections
agendas,
with
Dave,
Lucky,
you want to have people call in and talk to us about.
Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117?
You didn't mention about your insurance sponsor?
Yeah.
Toll-free
Letter.
Right. TFR
Right. That's important. We need
Uncensored
to
talk
do
and news
business
you won't hear in the
with
mainstream
people
media.
in
Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from
So give us a
deception.
call if you need that, rewind it, find it. But if you want to call and talk to us, that phone number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. Get in line. It should be fun. So,
Hey, one quick note. Upcoming, I just heard from Mel Fabregas.
oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, your interview is coming out a week from Thursday, the 18th, week of the anniversary.
Beautiful.
So, week from Thursday, Veritas Radio. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's great. I've been a subscriber for 8 years now.
Support what you like or it goes away.
That's right. It's coming out.
So if you like, and I think Mel does such a fantastic job in all his interviews. None better than when he does them with me. Or with you, Dave. I thought our interview with Mel was one of his best as well.
It absolutely was.
Right.
Probably the best interview he's ever done.
Probably. I don't think he would argue with that. Don't ask him. I'd rather not know his opinion on that, but just believe it. Yeah. No, so yeah, when I say what thank you to my patrons. They make all that possible. The show I did with Mel, all that stuff. So I always have to say a big thank you to those guys. But Dave, do you have any app news? App news.
We need a jingle for that. Some app news is Andrew Lanks, alleged friend of Yahweh, is making a promo video for me, a professional short video. That'll be fun. But we're waiting until the Compass and the FAQs function is done. And I actually saw a video of it today. It looks great. He's doing a test build, so I'll have it on my iPhone tomorrow. He's probably working on it right now as he's showing up for work.
Nice.
And as soon as I make sure it's bug-free, it's possible that the iOS version could get uploaded tomorrow.
Wow, that'd be quick.
Yeah, and that'll be fun. What I'm looking for, though, and when people get it, is if you have any videos that answer the FAQs, email them to me. Say, hey, this is a great video that should be in this list, and I'll add it. And because I can keep adding them in real time. So when someone says, what about, circumnavigation, they click that button, bam, there's a whole list explaining circumnavigation 6 ways to Sunday.
All right, welcome back. Excuse me. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. We're in hour 2, where we will do a little bit more of the hilarious Mike Adams talking about all the facts that you must know about the coming alien takeover and the non-human communications and the planetary defense on the other side of the moon, which is the gravitational high ground while Earth sits in a gravity well, and the harvesting of pulsars, which are rotating neutron stars, very easy, or relatively easy, to acquire energy from. And by the way, we're no longer on YouTube. A lot of people still question why I do that. It's because this is now the free speech time, which means we can take phone calls, because sometimes people call in and drop N-bombs like crazy or try and get me taken off the air some way. And then also Dave and I can say things like 9/11 was an inside job. And we can say that Sandy Hook was a hoax to get your guns. The government is out to get you. Dave, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm trying to like Ginger's channel to remain.
Oh, shit. Well, yes, I have warned him before that I do not recommend simulcasting this. But again, if he wants to do it, I'm not going to stop him. By the way, another question I always get is, what is that song that leads us back into the second hour? And that is B.O.B.'s They Live. In case you didn't know that, it's a great song. They walk like us. They talk like us. But they are not like us, Dave.
True. Hey, on the last clip you played, they were talking about how the alien race is getting us to slaughter ourselves.
Right.
It's not alien race, but they are getting us to agree to kill ourselves through depopulation in all different kinds of ways, from the poisons that we agree to take and chemtrails and the vaccines and all of that. So part of that is true. It's just not aliens from outer space. It's people from this plane that are doing it.
Right, but if you're one of the evil people telling people to put poisons into your children at young ages, like a week or a month old, don't you think it'd be very easy just to convince people that that's not actually you doing that? That's actually a otherworldly presence that is forcing people to do that, and it's in exchange for everlasting life. That's another thing that they talk about. That they're promising these leaders that they can download their minds into machines and live forever. So,
all right, jump forward.
Let's jump forward, and we'll go to 24. Here, let's go. Okay, here we go.
Drones are actually ideal for outer space because, drone aircraft have to maneuver in thick atmosphere, and they have to control multiple flight surfaces and so on. It's actually very complex to fly a drone versus an outer space drone. In outer space, you don't have wind, you don't have turbulence, you just have vectors of thrust. Drones in outer space are actually easier to operate, easier to program. And navigation is easier. You just use the star field as a map for navigation. So you're going to have automated drones doing mining of mineral resources and so on. You're going to have drones setting up, fuel factories. You're going to have drones checking out possible planets for colonization, finding where there's liquid water, and all the other things that have intrinsic value to any civilization. But getting back to something you mentioned earlier, I got to say,
okay, that's just.
I have a drone.
David, it's much easier if you flew that in space. You should,
and that it could set up outposts for us.
Right. You can really do mining. Have you done any mining with your drone yet?
I have not, but I am going to do some fishing with it.
Yeah, well, you can do some mining, and it'll actually set up fuel factories for you. If you awesome. You just need to program it with the star coordinates, and then this is the heavy intrinsic value of the water on other planets. So you got to go out and find this water. They've never found any water on other planets, but you know who can?
Wait, didn't they find water on the moon and Mars again?
Oh, right, with the satellite. The people that were there, they didn't find any water. They found it just to be a dry nothing. They dug, they brought rocks back, no water found anywhere. But then they sent up some satellite that flew around and said, oh, no, 4 inches deep is water. So now we should send some craft there.
But you have to hit it with a super fast micrometeorite to release the water.
Right.
It's molecularly bonded to the dust.
Correct. I'm glad you pay attention to the stories, Dave. That's really good. And for those waiting in line, get in line if you want to talk to us, 213-233-3998. We'll listen to another 2 segments or so. But if you want to call in, 213-233-3998. And if you're the first person who called in 42 minutes ago and you're calling from a blocked phone number, be ready to be on a very short leash. Because if you start saying some nonsense I don't want to listen to, I'm just going to hang up on you just because you're from a blocked number, and I don't like that. I don't like not knowing where you're from. Anyway, let's go to 2708. I skipped it.
Yeah, Jim Mars, may he rest in peace. He was one of the best researchers and writers of our time.
Yes.
And he was willing to go into these areas. And I know he was working on a book when he died, and I don't know what the status is of that book, but I hope it sees the light of day.
Well, it's on the subject. I know that. He told me what he was working on, and I've not seen it come to light. I mean, a partial publication of his work would be better than nothing. Do you know who Robert Dean was?
Here they go. They're just making up stories there.
Yeah, Jim Mars is the best researcher and writer, and now they're suggesting that his book is being suppressed because it had, critical information in it.
Right. It had aliens.
These are all facts.
And and I know because Dave, I don't know if you know this, but I talked to Jim Mars, and he told me exactly what was going to be in his book, and I have yet to see that come out yet.
I actually think Patricia and I interviewed Jim Mars.
Did you really?
I think so. One of those guys. I can't remember.
I don't think it was
Truth is Stranger Than Fiction.
I don't think it was Jim Mars. I do remember.
It wasn't Jim Mars?
Didn't you have 2 shows on there? How many shows did you do?
I don't know.
If it was more than 2, then I didn't hear them all. If it was only 2, you did not.
No, we did like 20.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was before you and I were friends. I used to not like you then.
I hated you.
No, I always liked you.
Bitcoin shill.
You were the only person on the round table that I could stand listening to. The Ball Earth Skeptics. Is that what it's called?
That was the Ball Earth Skeptics.
That was a good show for a little while, and then it became nonsense when Dave Weiss said Southern Flights didn't exist. All right, that's a joke, by the way. People don't get jokes. All right, let's skip forward a little bit more here.
Factions, and some have our interests in mind, but probably most don't. What are we to them?
Yeah,
we're just an infant species. We've only had a couple hundred years of technology. We can't offer them anything.
Well,
so before it's that we can't offer them anything, but before he was just saying how all these alien species want to come here, they want to terraform the planet, They want to do all this stuff. They want to have us do it for them. And now we just switched bills to, well, we're just some infant society. What do the aliens want to do with us? How do people not see that that's two different things? It's crazy. They just don't get it. Let's skip forward to 30, wherever I end up, 30, 37.
It's in sea algae as well. It's in seaweed. It's the basis of life in the oceans. So when you hear people, you hear scientists in the media say we have to eliminate carbon dioxide. It's
right. So now he's saying that, Dave, that it's the getting rid of carbon dioxide, but this is the aliens' agenda. Climate change, because, again, he's somebody who believes that climate change is, basically the same thing that Dave and I believe, that as far as global warming is a nonsense political tool. But he's changed it now to it's not the government who's doing it, it's aliens, Dave.
Amazing.
Skip forward to 33 here. Oops, that wasn't good.
33.
You can just convince people to kill each other.
Doesn't there have to be some kind of cooperating human global authority connected to these aliens?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's an upper echelon, globalist, elitist type of people who are being promised something for their cooperation. And some pretty good guesses about what's being promised to them might include digital immortality via transhumanism.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, yes. Sorry to throw that
Yeah.
in.
So, hey, if you agree to help us kill off all the other humans on Earth, we'll give you eternal life, and you'll rule over this computer system.
And you'll rule over this computer system. Dave, this is the same thing I was bringing up with Eric Weinstein, saying we need to get to the source code, and we need to create a portal with the source code. What has happened to humanity?
There has to be a connection to the elite with these aliens.
Right.
Absolutely. He confirms.
There's a few things that they could have promised them. One is downloading their memories into computer bases.
He has some pretty good guesses. So so his guesses, they're pretty good. They're probably right.
They're probably true.
Yes.
So, digital immortality. I like that one. And that's what you get when you got Elon Musk going around telling people that we're not a base reality, that we are. There's no way. There's 1 in a billion chance that we're not a base reality, and that there'll be video games, Dave, soon, so good that we won't be able to differentiate between real life. Except for
they already did the one in New Zealand.
See, that's the kind of thing we're allowed to say now that we wouldn't be allowed to say on YouTube. Be careful, Ginger Sugarbush. I think you're fine until you get to 10,000 subscribers or something. Then I think they start watching your channels a little bit carefuler. And Dave, I talked about that last week, right? That I played tiny little clips of a BBC video that was blocked worldwide, while other people have that video up that I was showing in its entirety, and it hasn't been blocked by BBC. So you're telling me I'm not being watched more? I mean, you're kidding me. And
I'm not telling you that.
Oh, good. Other people are telling me that. The other thing that you talked about them not recommending my videos, your videos to people, or Flat Earth videos, is the fact that my numbers have completely switched, flip-flopped. I talked about it yesterday, that I used to have 80% non-subscriber, 20% subscriber, which is, I guess, the direction that you want to go. You want most of your views coming from people that have never seen your videos before. Either it was shared to them, or it was recommended, or they're searching and finding it. That was a great number because it was growing my subscriber count. Since then, my numbers have completely flip-flopped. I now have a 20% subscriber, 20% non-subscriber, and 80% subscriber, which means my numbers don't grow.
I've been stuck at 27,500 for months, I think. It never moves.
No, mine too. It goes 145, and it's been stuck there. It goes from 200 to 300, back to 200, back to 300, which is fine. If people don't want to watch, that's one thing. But if they're just purposely doing it and not letting anybody new see the material, or if people search, I mean, have you tried to do a Flat Earth search, Dave? It's ridiculous.
It's horrible.
Yeah, every video is just.
That's why that's why I'm excited about the app, and I try to keep the videos and the frequently asked questions on there, because it's when somebody wants to learn, it's a good litmus test. Hey, download the app. If they're not willing to download the app, they're not willing to learn. And then they'll have a direct link that they can take with them and learn. I mean, yeah, I have all of the good videos are on there.
Dave, what did you think about what Mick West said about why he added that line to the curve calculator?
I didn't hear. What did he say?
Oh, I have that queued up, I believe. This is Ranty grilling him on why does he have that line, as you've now seen in the curve calculator, that says not accurate for long distances. So we'll listen to that here.
I'm just going to call this one Jazz.
I believe that's right.
Here we go. HTTP.
Here we go.
So work through this and try to figure out what's going on. On the more specific questions, I'll just do this.
Well, they said I put the calculations into the F calculator.
Yeah.
So Mick West is basically the guy that runs the Metabunk website, and he's bringing up his curve calculator, and Ranty Flat Earth is about to grill him on why did he add a line that says that the observations are not accurate for distances over close to the horizon.
Curve calculator. Make sure we're talking about the same thing here.
Moving the globe post.
Moving the globe post.
So,
because we can see mirror flashes too far, he had to add something to his curve calculator now that says not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon. I think that's hilarious. Oh, too funny. Anyway, let's get to a couple phone calls. Dave, I do have the Mike Adams thing queued up, so if we do run out of phone calls, we can't go back and listen to another one.
Perfect.
But let's go to the first caller. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. You're calling from a block line. I don't know why. Who are you? Are you government infiltrated or whatever?
Get right to the point.
Get to the point. Let's go.
Oh, sure. Hey, guys, no problem. I just need a minute real quick, and then I can just hop back and chat. So, and I know you guys have already talked about Behind the Curve, the documentary, and many flat earthers like to dismiss it as a hit piece. And I actually would tend to agree with that. I would tend to agree with it being a hit piece, you know, if it were a poorly done movie or was a horrible movie, but it wasn't. It was a fantastic movie that not only delved deep in the flat earth psyche, but actually exposed to an extent to how some will, you know, cover up, you know, when their, you know, experiments don't work out the way they, you know, wanted them to, like with yours, Jeran, you know, which is actually making the rounds as Jeran's failure, you know, kind of a take on Aries' failure. But real quick question, and I'll hop back in chat. You know, how many failed experiments will it take for you guys to kind of, you know, give up the ghost in the flat earth?
Well, I let him go that far just because it just shows the ridiculousness of globe earth believers. When they see a movie and it's presented to them as me failing an experiment, they take that as being the truth. So you said, I know you guys have talked about it. Obviously, you didn't listen to us talk about it. There were 25 people at that test, and every single person that walked away from that test said nothing.
Many of them ballers.
Many of them ballers, or at least 3. But again, the reason why is because there were results that led both ways. There was results that we looked at and said, well, that's a flat earth result. Then in that one particular time, I said, okay, we can't see the light. Put the light up to his head. He put it up. I said, interesting. Then 3 seconds later, 3 minutes later, there's a result that looks flat. We kind of kept going back and forth. There was nothing that we could determine. And every single person walked away from that experiment and said nothing was proven. Nothing was shown. We need to redo this. We need to change the dimensions. We need to change the idea a little bit. And we all walked away. And those guys were supposed to give me all the footage, because if I had all the footage, I'd be able to prove that to you. And I can't, because they've hidden the footage from me. They told me, oh, now with Netflix obligations, we can't give you the footage that we promised you. The exact reason why they cannot give me that footage is because I'd be able to show you
that's equivalent to me taking a bow and arrow, shooting the bow in the air, and then turning off the camera before it comes down and say, it never came down. I shot it into space. That proves it.
Right. It's the same thing. So you can call it Jeran's failure. It just shows me how desperate you guys are for evidence of your globe Earth, that you're taking a movie that has taken me out of context, and that's your best claim to the Earth being round.
go to another call. That's ridiculous. Everybody knows it. He blocked caller, little chicken shit, and with his stupid, uninformed comment. Next.
Let's go to the next caller. And again, we're talking about, real quick, we're talking about experiments where we're seeing mirror flashes from too far, and your guys' best method to that is to have a guy go on and change the curve calculator to say it's not accurate over long distances, and the reason he changed it is because we're seeing too far. So how many times do you have to see too far until you just realize that you don't live on a spinning ball, you don't fly through space, you don't spin, you don't go around the sun, and all the other things that go along with it? Let's go to the 208 area code. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Hi, this is David from Idaho.
What's up, David? Too many Davids on the call already.
Yeah, so I want to remind everybody that we're living in the 1989 Tim Burton's Batman movie, where the chemicals from the Joker are being put into our products, and we're being exposed on a daily basis to these chemicals.
I agree. They're exposing us to a lot. Yep, absolutely.
And I recently have taken on the mentality of drinking the distilled water like you guys recommended, and I have done my initial research, and I found an interesting video on YouTube that is titled, "So You Think Water is a Conductor," right? All throughout school, we are told that water conducts electricity.
Right.
Well, this distilled water does not conduct electricity. It's actually an insulator.
Correct. Yeah, because it's all the dirt ball particles and all the garbage in the water that makes the water that they try and serve you from the faucet to be a great conductor. It's because there's so much dirt and crud in there that it allows the electricity to run through it.
Correct.
But distilled water, you've now taken that all out. Appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Let's go to the 260 area code. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Hello, Jeran and David.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, I'm not hearing you too well. Can you hear me?
Yep. Great.
Oh, okay. Well, I had a comedy skit about Richard Nixon in the Oval Office, but I got to say something first, because I happen to be listening to You Can't Dodge the Hodges, and do you remember back with Mike Adams when he was connected to a woman who's a psychiatrist named Rima Lebeau?
Doesn't sound familiar right off the bat, Dave. You?
What was the question? I missed it.
Well, let me just say this. This woman, Rima Lebeau, is married to General Stubblebine, somehow the central kind of head of military intelligence. And Mike Adams was... anyway, I just wondered if you remembered any of that, because I happened to be listening to You Can't Dodge the Hodge today, hearing that whole thing, too. And this big Branson, Missouri conference coming up with Steve Quayle, and it's really incredible. It's funny. But I wanted to call about... Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, what did you think of it as you were listening?
Well, like I said, I heard the whole thing today, earlier, which is... I never listened to him. I went there today for some reason. I heard, but while you were doing it, yeah, that was funny. But I thought of this one comedy scene, like old-style Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
And it opens with Richard Nixon sitting at his desk in the Oval Office. Secretary comes in. "Excuse me, Mr. President, you have a collect call coming in from the moon. Will you accept the charges?" Nixon says, of course, patch me through." "O'Neill, before you say anything, something I've got to know. How's the weather up there on the moon?"
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I get the second scenes even. It comes in, they cut, they have to redo it because he said Neil instead of Buzz. I can't even remember which one he was talking to myself, but he messes it up. They come in, and the second take two comes in where he's got a ham radio on his desk.
That'd be great. Hey, appreciate the call so much. Got a lot of calls to get through here. Let's go to the 905. I wonder who that is. Whether or not he still has a channel, that remains to be seen. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. What's up?
What's up, guys? Just want to say love you both and condolences to Iru and his family. Because
Absolutely, I agree. I forgot to mention that.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you did mention it on the first hour, but so two quick stories from the parking garage where it turns out I'm a gatekeeper because I control a gate that lets people out, but that's not the point.
Okay.
So before I started my 12-hour shift, I was sitting outside just killing time, and I heard some dude talking to his buddy about moon temperature and how it's colder, and I knew exactly he was a flat earther. So I walked over to him, and his friend was mind blown because here's another one who he has no knowledge of because they're on vacation because they're visiting Niagara Falls. So that was absolutely hilarious to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, it's always great. You can always hear him talking.
Oh yeah, and his friend was just so flabbergasted that there's another one right beside me while his buddy's trying to tell him about it.
Strength in numbers.
But so the next night, it's Canada Day. The reason I didn't do it live last week because I had work BS. But so we're getting people out of the garage after the fireworks, and this car of like young guys have their music blaring, and like, any music requests? Like, what do you want to hear as we're stuck in traffic as you're going? You're trying to get through the line.
Discover the extraordinary powers of intuitive healing with pain transmutation, a method of holistic healing for the human soul, body, mind, and emotions. If you are looking for answers and a deep understanding of how to help yourself and the people around you to live a happier, healthier life, this is the right place for you. Learn how to read your soul's history in the Akashic Records. Remove negative energy attachments from your astral body, and start the process of inner and outer pain transmutation. Join Pain Transmutation Community to get started on the path of intuitive healing. Change your energetic state, manifest new and exciting experiences, re-energize your life, and build inspiring connections with others in our community.
Hey folks, guess what the #1 phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I mean, I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
50 feet hidden.
On X Squared Radio every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. This is where the past meets the future. We explore the mysteries of the universe and of the earth. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear.
Of the earth.
You will be safely traveling with us.
We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear.
We will dissolve the propaganda of dangerous people with dangerous plans for the planet. We will discuss the latest technologies and challenges for humankind. We will discover the safest place for you to stand when the thinkings and doings of mankind become flying apart, and how you can be one of the people that helps put it back together.
And how you
join us
can be one of the people that helps put it back together. Join us.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio. No fear. Real people, real radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Appreciate everybody joining us. The phone number, if you want to get in, Jeranism Monday Night Raw. 213-233-3998. Appreciate everybody joining us. Let's go to the next caller in the 513. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? 998. Let's go to the next caller in the 513. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? What's up, Tim?
I got one comment, but I want to throw something out to the listeners. I'm a patron of yours,
I got one comment, but
Jeran,
I want to throw something out to
Dave,
the
I'm not even
listeners.
sure I know if you have a patron account, do you?
It is.
Jeran,
It's
Dave, I'm not even sure I know if you have a
patreon.com/Jeranism. It is. It's patreon.com/Jeranism.
Thank you.
That's what I thought it was. I assume that the answer is no, maybe? That's what I thought it was.
No,
Anyway,
I do not. I do not
assume
have
that
one. I
the answer is
recommend
no, maybe?
upping your Patreon to Jeran, but you don't have to. Upping
anyway, I'm a patron of have been for some time now.
We all
and
appreciate
I just can't believe how
I'm a patron.
Yeah, well, I
have
know,
been for some
but you
time
don't know
now.
who I am.
We all
It's not like
appreciate
bragging, right? But I'm challenging all the other listeners out there. I mean, I got Jeran in my ears 20, 30 hours a month.
But I'm challenging all the other
I can't pay a little bit for that. You guys can't pay, I mean, $2-3 a month for that.
I can't pay a little bit for that. You guys can't pay,
dig into our pockets a month for that. How about that?
Come on.
You know what?
I
was always.
Let's dig into
I was always sorry to interrupt. I was always told that as a kid, give to charity and then it comes back tenfold. And I never really believed that, and then it comes back tenfold.
It does.
And I never really. It's amazing what happens when you even when you're when you're tight. It's amazing. A homeless person can give $1. Even when you're when you're tight, a homeless person.
I'm a premium member with Glowbusters. I do The Plain Truth, the movie. I can't wait to see what that's going to be like. There's several I do because I can afford to do it. But even if you can't, you're right. $2-3 a month. Come on, people.
I can afford to
slap it on a card.
But even if you can't,
you don't even notice it for crying out loud.
Come on, people.
Anyway, all right, enough of that. I just want to know which one of you two gentlemen is going to pay the $2 million of Sotheby's for the tapes.
I just want to know which one of you two gentlemen is going to pay the $2 million of Sotheby's.
Dave, do you have $2 million? So you can
I was gonna, but I think it's going to be like 2.3 million, and that's just more than I'm willing to do. I think it's going to be like 2 million, and that's just more than I'm willing to do. An intern buys tapes for a substantial amount of money to an intern back then. Okay, $270 in the 1960s. Substantial amount of money to an intern back then. That's up there. $270. He knows about the missing tapes. He knows about all this stuff, and he doesn't say anything until the 50th anniversary. He knows about all this stuff. Is that just good planning for the sale or 50th anniversary?
Brilliant.
Did he not say that he used a lot of those tapes to re-record over just because he liked to re-record over those tapes? Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah, tapes were so
to re-record over those tapes. Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah, tapes were so expensive for NASA. They had to tape shows, and I'm sure this intern, he got lucky. He had to tape X-Files and some other shows, and just happened to not tape over the most amazing accomplishment in the history of mankind.
On that big 2-inch wide tape. Yeah, I'm sure that's what he was doing.
Now, these tapes, are these videotapes or are they telemetry tapes?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. I mean, again, even there is no such thing as the real tapes unless you're talking about what was video recorded off of a CRT monitor. So even that can never, that's a brilliant way of doing something. If you don't want somebody to prove that your tape is fake, you just drum up whatever you want on some screen and then video record that. Nobody can.
Now,
can do
wasn't the pictures taken on the moon, they were done on a Hasselblad camera, whatever that means. My drone has a Hasselblad camera. I still don't know what that means. But they had physical film in them, right?
Correct.
So how many pounds of tapes did they have, and they carried all of that to the moon?
They had four rolls for sale, and my guess is they wouldn't be video. They would have to be telemetry tapes, I would think, which means you could probably create them day before yesterday.
Right. It'd be quite easy. If it's in a computer program, it can output whatever you want it to output.
I was listening to Owen Benjamin did the piece, which was somebody put it to a South Park cartoon. It's on the app right now, actually, where he mentions that the telemetry was done by a black lady by hand, and they lost it. And that's what NASA said. That's what NASA claims. And there is a video about that. I kind of remember that. Do you know about that, Jeran?
I've seen it before. Yeah, they talked about it with all the other black people that they say were long forgotten by NASA, and that they were responsible for. There was also a lady who did all the coding herself for the travel that the craft had to go through. Of course, there was
it by hand, and they lost it.
Hidden Figures.
Right.
You're talking about Hidden Figures, the movie.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Nice. I'm gonna have to watch that.
No, you don't want to watch it.
No.
It actually was a pretty good movie. I watched it before I became a flat earther, I think, and it was really a fine movie to watch. And then I became a flat earther, and I went, "Oh crap!"
That's very funny.
What the heck?
Well, I appreciate the call, and thank you so much for the kind words about.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. About supporting and everything else. And hey, I like doing these shows. We do this. I like doing my videos. I'll always do those. Even if I eventually have to go back to work, no matter what I do, I'll always find a little bit of time to do this. But yeah, the patron number, I believe I've got 130 people that support. It's not a lot, but out
of how many subscribers?
145,000. So I don't want to do the percentage of that. I could do that quickly. Let's see, 140.
1%.
No, it's a lot less than that.
Oh, it's 0.1%.
Yeah, if it's out of it'd be 0.001%. It'd be 1/10 of 1%.
I like what he said though. Is you just put it on a credit card. It's a couple dollars. You don't even notice it.
Right. Yeah.
You don't even notice it. It's like, you know what I tell people? Skip one dinner a month. Right. That's about $10, right?
Yeah, and I think
$5.
I might not realize how much even $2 or $3 would help. Yeah, it helps a lot because if there's imagine if 1,000 people gave $2, all of a sudden now that's $2,000. All of a sudden I can afford to do this full time. But again, I understand that people are tight and that they can't afford it. My only hope is that if you do enjoy, like this caller Tim just said, if you do listen to me for 2-3 hours a month, well then, I understand that that's not somebody you can really support. But if it's more than that, if you have an extra couple bucks, that'd be great. You could throw it my way.
Here's what I was thinking today. You subscribe, pick a handful of things. You subscribe to Veritas. You subscribe to Jeranism, by becoming a patron. You subscribe to Barnabas Nagy, who I love his videos. For me, they're not for everybody. Subscribe to
Crow.
5 or 10 different shows. Subscribe to Crow, right? And guess what? Get rid of Netflix. Get rid of your cable television because you don't have time to watch them. With all of those shows, you can have so much content, good stuff, stuff that's going to expand your mind, stuff that you're truly interested in, and you've saved money.
Yeah, the only thing it's concerning, or not concerning, because again, it is what it is, and whatever. But since I've started talking about it more, my patron amount has gone down drastically, which is interesting. So I, before when I didn't even mention it much, and I just kind of let it be over there, that's when it was going up and up. And then the second I said, hey, maybe I can get some more patrons, that it went down. Now it's I don't know. I think I receive less than $1,000 a month. Or right at $1,000 a month, where it used to be it was getting up to $1,400, $1,500, but back down. But again, I understand it's tight. People can't do it. But if you
you know what? And by the way, people I don't want to sign up because then I won't be able to unsign up. Sign up, and then if you want to unsign up. That's fine. Just do it for whatever period of time you want to do it. It's not a contract.
Right.
You'll just do it, And guess what? If things get, like, hey, you know what? I'm not listening very much. I'm not enjoying his content. Then unsign up. But what's the big deal?
Yeah, so appreciate everybody, though. I do appreciate those 140 people more than they know. And, for the people that have backed off, I appreciate the time that you were a patron. So thank you so much, even if you no longer are. I appreciate the time that, what you were able to give is what has allowed me to do some of the stuff that I've been able to do. Let's go to the 910 area code. You're on with Jeranism on RAW. Who's this?
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
All right. I got two things tonight. The first one, I'll talk about carbon dioxide, and the second one, I'll tell you how to do away with your electricity bill. So, carbon dioxide, we're talking about getting rid of. Don't plants breathe CO2?
Yeah, certainly not David and I talking about getting rid of it. But yes, your government faction is telling you that we need to get rid of it, even though that's instrumental to life. Yes.
So, think about this. You know how fruits and vegetables and plants in general grow larger with CO2 because that's what they breathe?
Yeah.
So I was thinking back to my childhood when I heard the story of Joshua and Caleb and the spies going into the land of these giants. And when they took the giant food, the grapes, they had to have a staff on their shoulders to carry one cluster.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that story?
Right.
So, it got me to thinking, could these giants eating this giant food, which was breathing all that CO2, could that have helped with their growth?
I would tend to think so. I mean, a hotter, wetter climate could do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, a hot, wet climate with plants growing everywhere, they don't want that. They want a cold, non-sunny, dry, dead world.
Chemtrailed world, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that got me thinking back to the people who say, well, the giants were, oxygen was more, there was more oxygen here. And I'm thinking, well, if the plants were giant, there was more CO2.
Right. Yeah. Skiba has talked a lot about that, but totally agree. What's your second?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Okay. So my second one is, I talked about this years and years ago. If you want to run power to your house, make your own generator, just go get you an alternator for an 18-wheeler. And you can get a little diesel-powered engine and run it off cooking oil, or you can get a gas engine and run it off fumes. And there you go. I mean, basically $1 a day.
All right. Well, that'd be awesome. Hey, thank you so much for the call. Or as Dave would say, get solar put on your house. Right.
I kind of like his idea of an alternator to power your house with a little oil engine. If that works, I got to look at the ratio.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if that would work. I don't think it would be $1 a day, but it could be.
Well, he's talking about doing it with cooking oil and gas. It depends on how much gas it would use. I don't know. It's good. It's interesting.
There's
definitely better ways to power your house than they're telling us. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and cheaper ways for sure.
Hey, I saw a movie preview for a Tesla movie that's coming out about the story of the war. It's called The Current War. I'm wondering if it's going to tell the truth or it's going to be total propaganda. But the preview looked really good.
Really, it's a movie that'll be in the theaters.
It's in the theaters, coming probably in the fall.
Interesting. I'll definitely.
Yeah, and it looks really well done. It's Dan Cumberbuck, that guy, whatever his name is, and it looks super good. So promoting a movie, look at that, and
I'm shocked.
Yeah, well, I like keeping on top of the propaganda out there, but it looked like they're kind of telling the real story of how Westinghouse shut down Tesla.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, that's certainly not taught in schools. Go to your school books and they'll, tell you all the falsities. Let's go to the 508 area code. You're on with Jeranism on RAW. Who is this?
Hello?
Hello.
Perfect. So I have, I follow you guys philosophically. I have for years. I'm not a flat earther, and I love what you guys say. I follow pretty much everybody, and I know everybody's story, and I know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't. I've climbed a mountain, so I'm not going to say the Earth is flat. But I don't believe in a globe. But following all of your work for years, I've noticed recently, certainly, if I have a criticism, is it's getting kind of light it's getting a little boring, and this is like a riveting topic, and I have several questions, and I feel like I could talk about this stuff for hours. But I mean, you guys are, if nothing else, flat Earth aside, you guys are occult researchers of the occult, and you guys have certainly both branched out, as have all of the other speakers, and discussed all of the other conspiratorial topics. Some people call them conspiracies. Those are research conspiracies, call them, simply occulted history. But you guys, your skill is regarding not just the flat Earth. And I think especially listening to the last few minutes talking about patrons, because I totally agree, people should support what they like and believe in. But after it goes a little flat, it's not really a recommendation. It's kind of like a commonsensical notion that I'd feel better about supporting you guys if you had more entertaining topics, and I'd like to suggest some, even though you guys bring them up on your own. Flat Earth is getting kind of stagnant, and I mean the collective with all of the speakers who discuss this topic. Not a whole lot of new stuff has come out. Would you agree with that much? Well, I mean, really, really recently. The last year has been a little flat in comparison to the first, say, 4.
Yeah, I would say, I would agree with that it's, a little harder to find good information. I think, or good videos. I'm not really sure why, other than the fact that they're not promoting those kind of videos or anything like that anymore. As far as my channel and what you're talking about, this is why I say that YouTube is a tough platform. It pigeonholes you into, let's say when I started and, say I had 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 subs, I was able to do videos on whatever topic I wanted, and nothing was blocked, nothing was claimed. I was able to get away with it, basically everything. In the past year, you have to remember, YouTube has clamped down on everything, what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to say. If I make a video and show anything from anybody else's channel, it's immediately claimed. I'm not sure if there's a number of subscribers that you have to get to where that starts happening to you, or if that's been happening to everyone. It's impossible for me to know that, right? It's impossible for me to go back in time and say, okay, I have 5,000 subs, now I'm going to make videos like I did that. Also, when you have 140,000 subscribers, you're going to be under much deeper scrutiny. If I do a video again about George Bush, if I do a video again about some of these occult topics that they don't want talked about, I'm going to lose my channel. So that's where, when you're talking about the patrons, it's that give and take relationship to where I totally see what you're saying and I actually understand it. And that's why, I look at it, and if you're talking about Jeran, what's your dream? What's your wish? My wish was that somehow I was making $3,000 a month doing this, because then I can make videos like I used to and put them on my website and run everything through that and be completely happy and not have to worry about any video getting claimed, because it's going to be on my website. It's not something people can claim. It's not going to get delisted. It's not going to get demonetized. It's not going to be, all those things go away when you operate on your own website. So people like Crow 777 can get away with doing that. He has got his own website. Maybe that's the method I need to take it. And, David is somebody who's told me to do that. How long have you been telling me to do that, Dave? Forever. Dave's been telling me that I need.
Yeah, no, it's getting to the point where you are restricting what you're able to do. It's slowing you down. You're not getting your message out because YouTube won't allow it. So they're forcing people to do it. As I said earlier, Barnabas Nagy just did it. And I think, Jeran, you can do it really well. Of course, all of your patrons would automatically be members, and then anybody else could do it, and you just do it for like $5. It would be fantastic.
My problem is I've always told people that my videos will be free, and I want to keep it that way. And
but things change. But here's the thing: things change. Right. Maybe you put some free ones out, but the good ones that they won't allow out, you put them on your website.
Yeah, and again, I could do that if I was being paid to do so. But again, I'd have to start a pay site, and then people could say exactly what you're saying. Well, what am I going to pay for? My hope is that you look at I think I've got 380 videos on my website. On my YouTube channel. And if people look at those and look at the work that I've done, all of that done while I still had to do other things. But now that I'm able to spend more time on this, how do I do it and keep my channel up and also provide the information that people want? So that's what I mean by YouTube really kind of pigeonholes you into a position that, what do? I would love to make the videos I used to make. I know that if I make those now on my channel will be gone, and then I don't have a platform at all.
Right, and then a lot of people are switching to these other platforms like BitChute. BitChute is just another YouTube. Barnabas actually did a video on it the other day that totally exposed them for who they really are. It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you go over there, you have no viewers. So
right.
My thought process is always that rather than ask people to pay for videos or to pay for my website, it's, hey, if you want to, it'd be great if you donate. And then what I can do is continue making the videos. And once I get to that amount, now the problem is I've been doing Patreon for 2 years and I've never gotten to that amount that I can exist on. So that's the kind of the problem. But go ahead. You had one more thing to say?
Well, yeah. Well, just regarding merchandising sounds like an evil idea, but I mean, when I believe in a truth speaker, when I believe in any individual who's putting themselves out there for what they believe the truth is, merchandising, whether it's putting some of your information regarding maybe some awesome quotes just on a U.S. Maybe hemp-based T-shirt product, where you can then sell T-shirts just from your website alone. When people know who you are and they follow you and they believe in what you're saying, it doesn't have to do with flat Earth. I'd love to buy one of your T-shirts and support you in that way, and I'd proudly wear a T-shirt. But I guess the question I really wanted to ask with the reason for my call, and I'm a cancer survivor raised in part by my Holocaust surviving grandparents. I was raised on the occult. I know a whole bunch of stuff that most people would never want to dig into, but I've been following flat Earth from the beginning, and I have called and spoken to you personally about this, and I know your answer was always, no, they don't want this out there. This was a bit of, it wasn't necessarily an accident, but Mark Sargent would say, yeah, they do want this information out there, and they're not necessarily, censoring flat Earth, but as Mark would say, they're taking their foot off the pedal. Whereas you, Jeran, you personally just, you retell the story about how you came to the flat Earth and how you called your wife an idiot. No, it could never be flat. And so, no, I don't, it can't be a psyop, even though this whole thing can be both true and a psyop, is my personal opinion. But my question to you is, let's say everybody in the world woke up and realized the Earth is, and I'm going to say it, not a globe, because using the term flat Earth, it does more harm than good, depending on what. I live in between MIT and Harvard and Boston, so you can't even imagine the dumbass college retards walking around from Harvard and MIT wearing massive shirts, who can't see a Freemasonic actor, if it hit them in the face. But my question to you is, if everybody woke up and realized the Earth is not a globe tomorrow, what does that do for anybody? And I have a follow-up because it requires a follow-up if we have time. But if everybody woke up tomorrow and realized they've been lied to, the Earth is not a globe, what does that do? What does it do for you? Because I'll tell you what it does for me.
The latest video on my channel, DITRH. This guy Victor, somebody asked him that at a speaking, a street activism thing, and he said it all. But everything changes. The way people act changes. Government ends. The bullshit education ends.
It would
the things are limitless on what happens.
Topple the fake media. Topple all organizations, all industry, all the educational setups where people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an education that's basically a lie.
How about this?
All
what remains the same? And I'd say nothing.
Right. It's a real
and I
created.
I agree with all what you're saying, but the way the machine works is, let's say they come out tomorrow and everybody, or the vast majority realizes, 9/11 was a complete hoax. They still control everything. So tomorrow they're going to revert right back to, no, it's a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah.
False.
Well, all right, so I'll come at you with
the control is in our minds.
One more.
It's all in our minds.
I agree with that. All right, but they control the overpowering repetitive frequency. So if they drop the control over your mind, then it's going to be temporarily. They'll cause there'll be a massive flood or hurricane. The next day they'll change the subject, and then a month later they'll just go right back to NASA's doing something great. And
they wouldn't do that if they realized
anything. They have.
Yeah, if they realized the Earth was flat and that all of space travel was a hoax and everything, every organization would be over. I mean, what you're talking about is if it could go back to that, like, okay, well, yeah, we lied.
It would never go back.
It would never go back. That's the difference.
That's when they kill us all and start over.
Right. Hey, I got to go just because we have a lot more calls. Let's get to these last two. 832, you have about a minute. Real quick, what's up?
Hey, what's up? I was kind of just listening. This is Ace. Man, that's so funny. Hey, Jeran. Hey, David. That's so funny. A globe believer trying to figure out what it would change. You don't know what it's going to change until you actually realize that it's
a shocking
globe.
It's a shocking question to me. And just if you've heard my story, you've heard everything that has changed for me. And just it changes everything. Yeah. You realize that you're created. You realize this is a created place, that the earth is all that there is, that the importance of it, the prime importance of it, the centrality of it, that it gets rid of the whole speck of dust thing. It erases all the nonsense that they've sold you, the fantasy,
nihilism.
Right, nihilism, exactly. Materialism. It all goes away. You become a better person. You care more about others. You care more about helping your neighbor. So Ace, real quickly, we're going to run out of time. So you have any final things to say before I get to the last caller?
You're not going to make the last caller.
No, that's it. Appreciate it.
Hey,
hang in there. You're doing a good job. Keep kicking butt.
Later, Ace.
Appreciate it. So we're not going to get to the last caller.
You can if you want, but then it's going to be stuck on the line.
I know. That's the way it always goes. How much time do I have?
It's 55.
55 seconds?
No, it's at 10:55 right now.
Okay. You got 1 minute. 240. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Last caller. What's up?
This is Dark News Network. I wanted to actually talk to you about fluoride, but I don't think we could do that in 30 seconds.
Oh, do you want to call us and talk about it next week? Right at the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
And I'm going to write down your area code or write down your phone number. Call us next week, and we'll have you on. So thank you so much for the call. We got rid of the last caller. If people don't know what happens, if I leave that on for 3 seconds, then they're stuck on the line, and it's hard to say goodbye to y'all. So thank you guys so much, and we'll listen to Dark News Network, who's going to talk to us about fluoride next week when we start taking calls.
And listen to Mike Adams on the Common Sense Show podcast. It's worth hearing the whole thing. It's hysterical.
It is pretty good. It's a good comedy piece. So appreciate you guys listening as always. Thank you for all your support. And if you don't want to support, if you don't think I'm doing a good job, then you don't have to. Watch my videos for free. They'll always be there. If you hate me. Until next time, guys, it's been Jeran. Peace.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Epstein behind bars, the 2020 census. I'm Ann Cates. Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking charges.